Buyer's remorse. That's becoming more common in today's market than ever before. All the pressures of wanting to get that house and get your offer accepted, yeah, people are regretting their purchases. But I'm going to share with you today some ways that you can avoid having buyer's remorse. So let's talk about that. Let's get started. Recently, I had two instances where I was working with buyer clients and they were putting offers on a house. The one example, we were negotiating an offer and the seller came back and said, you know, they would prefer to close September 1. My buyer wanted to close the end of June. That worked out better for him. And what everybody's doing these days is they want to do whatever the seller wants. You know, sure, if the seller wants that, well, absolutely, we'll do that. So I went back to my client and I said, can you close September 1 versus the end of June? And he was like, hemming and hawing, I'm not sure. And then he's like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. We'll put September 1 as a closing date. Okay, 12 hours go by. We go through the night. The next morning, I get a panic phone call from him. And he said, I don't know if I'm comfortable closing September 1. I don't think I can do this because what if the rates increase? He goes, I need to lock into my rate and I could be paying even more money by delaying this closing. And he goes, I don't feel like I'm protected. He's like, this isn't fair to me. So he was ready to just withdraw the offer. So what I said was, okay, let's come with a compromise. Let's see, how are you with another month later, end of July? Sounds great, good. So then that's what we did. We went back to that seller and offered an end of July closing date to kind of meet in the middle. So he felt protected that, okay, I'm more comfortable with that. I'm not gonna lose any money. I'm not gonna be spending more because a potentially higher interest rate. Another example, I had a couple put an offer in, bidding war. They went $25,000 over asking. We were waiting for the sellers to come back with their response. And she sent me a panic text at like 5 in the morning and said, oh my God, I don't think I can do this because we loved the house. We loved everything about it. But then as I thought about it, there are certain things about the house that aren't going to meet our needs, and it's going to become a challenge, and I can't go through with this, so I need to withdraw the offer. Totally fine. But we're seeing this a lot. I'm even seeing houses go on the market, they get under contract, or they're only just getting into attorney review, and they're falling apart because then it says in the agent comments, buyer's remorse, buyer got cold feet, they didn't want to proceed. So this market is driving a lot of pressure on buyers because they want to get their offer to stand out and they're doing anything they can. But then with that, it becomes a lot of regret, and we're starting to see that. They've polled a lot of people, like a lot of millennials in this past year, and they see that there's been a lot of buyer remorse because they felt they were pressured. So what can we do? What can you do to prevent that buyer's remorse from even happening? Well, the first thing you need to do is you got to work with a trusted, experienced real estate agent. You want to work with a real estate agent that is not just in it for the sale. They're not just there to sell you a house. They're there to guide you through the process. I say this time and time again. That is what an experienced agent is going to do. And if you're not comfortable with the situation, they're not going to push you into buying that house, okay? If someone's just trying to sell you a house, they're going to try and show you everything that's great about it, and they're going to push you into buying that house. You don't want that. So make sure you're working with a trusted, experienced real estate agent. Another way to prevent buyer's remorse, don't pay too much. Okay, yeah, duh, we know that. We don't want to pay too much for a house, and people are paying well over asking price. So here's how you avoid feeling like you're paying too much. Your trusted, experienced real estate agent is going to look at comps to see what the market is in that particular neighborhood or town, to make sure you're not overpaying. If the comps are good, they're kind of in line with what they're asking for, what the asking price is in that home. If you want to go slightly above, look, it's possible that it could come back and still appraise, because if the market is consistently increasing every month, more than likely the appraisal should be okay. And don't get caught up in it. Don't feel like, you know what, I have an extra $20,000 cash in the bank. I can definitely go over asking, and I got that cash if I have to waive the appraisal. And then if you do that and then you end up with no cash in the bank when you close, no, then your house poor. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just don't ever put yourself in that situation. Once you close, you're gonna be house poor and you can't live your life because now you're a slave to this house that you spent so much money on. Okay, another thing that you can do is do not get caught in the rush of this market. So what do I mean by that? If you got time to find a house, take your time. Set your expectations that this is going to take a while and you're in it for the long haul. Now I get it, there are some of you out there that need to buy something like yesterday. I totally understand that. But don't also get caught up in just settling either. This is another important thing. Do not settle. If there are certain things about the house that could be deal killers for you, but you're so desperate because you're so spent, you're so exhausted with this whole process, and you're like, forget it, I'll just take it, and it's a bad location, or the rooms are too small, but you're like, forget it, I need a house. Oh my God, do not do that. Do not settle. You will regret it so much after you've been in that house for a while. I've seen it happen with people where they're like, yeah, I want it. And then 2 years down the road, they're like, we need a bigger place. We shouldn't have done this. And look, it happens, but don't do it. Trust me. Make sure you look at everything. Don't settle, even especially on location too. If that house is near a busy road and you're like, oh, that's fine. No, if you don't want to be on a busy road, don't do it. You're going to be so upset down the road that you chose that house. Trust me. Okay, and the other thing that you can do to prevent buyer's remorse is make sure you do get a home inspection. And I've talked about this before. In today's market, people are waiving the home inspection contingency, but that doesn't mean you don't get a home inspection for yourself, just so you know what the inner workings are of the home. And if there are any potential problems, always get a home inspection. The average cost is like $500, $600, $700 for a home inspection. It's money well spent because sellers don't always disclose what is wrong with the house. And a lot of sellers do not even prepare a New Jersey seller's disclosure form. They don't, because they'll say, oh, I don't have knowledge on this. I don't know the age of this. I don't know the age of the roof. I don't know the age of the furnace. If there's no seller's disclosure, you got to go and do an inspection. It's, like I said, it's money well spent. And if something major does come up, even though you waive the contingencies, if something structural comes up or something like there's mold, whatever, anything major like that, you could go back and ask them to address it. And if they're not going to address it, then you need to move on, because you don't need to be dealing with those issues. So that's a big one there, folks. Definitely get a home inspection done. Even if you're waiving the contingencies, get an inspection done for your knowledge and most of all for your protection. So there are some tips right there for you. I hope you found it valuable. And by the way, if you want to check out another really awesome video, go right there. Check it out. YouTube thinks you should watch it, so I think you should watch it. Thanks so much for watching me today. I so appreciate being here. I'm Jackie Baker with Coldwell Banker Realty, and I will see you next time.